Hi! Welcome back to another video. Oh my god, these intros are so cringe, aren't they? I would never do this normally, but as you can tell, I'm not with my normal video partner. I have a special guest, which I'm really excited about. This is my friend and very well-known Eurovision reactionary extraordinaire, Tom. Tom, would you like to introduce yourself to our lovely viewers?
Hello. Yeah, my name is Tom. I have my own kind of YouTube channel about Eurovision where I do reactions. I talk about gossip and tea, and all kinds of stuff. I started doing it last year, and me and Becky have been friends for I don't know how long, like 5-ish years.
5, 6 years, something like that. Yeah, long
Yeah.
time. We worked together in London and then I moved to Sweden, but we've stayed in touch and you've come and see me.
First bonded over Eurovision, right? I
We
think.
actually did, yeah. We used to
Yeah.
run, or we used to run, well, we didn't run, but we used to help out with like Eurovision sweepstakes in the office, and we'd be the ones like running around telling people, oh my gosh, you picked someone really good, or oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you kind of didn't, or playing all the songs on the office television. So today I've brought Tom in, not necessarily to talk about Eurovision because we aren't quite there yet. We haven't finished with Mello yet. So I thought it would be fun to get a different opinion on this year's Mello. I'd say how it's going to go, but we all know how it's going to go. Let's be real. So we're just going to talk about our favourites, and I do have a little bone to pick about this year's Mello. So how much Mello have you been watching?
Be totally honest, I haven't watched any of the semis all the way through. Although
Scandal.
I've watched all of the songs, like on YouTube, and I've been following like the odds, what's been going on, who's gone home, who hasn't, and just been on like Mellow Twitter quite a lot, chatting on there, seeing what's going on. But I feel like this year's kind of started to pick up a little bit again from last year. I feel like last year, I don't know, we didn't have as much quality as we do now, and not as much like variance in like the genres of songs. And I feel like we got like a bit more choice this year, and it's been fun. Like I was looking through all of the final songs for this year, and it was just like none of them were really the same. It was just like I was being jolted from like one place to another. Like,
Yeah. No, it's been really interesting. One thing we've noted this year is like the death of the mellow ballad. We've had some big ballads come in, but really not as many as normal. And those that have just gone completely. So I think Eurovision, I know I don't want to touch on Eurovision too much, but I think Eurovision's heading the same way as well. The days of the big Celine Dion ballad are over. I guess everyone listening through to the 12 finalists, can you believe there's going to be 12 songs to listen to on Saturday? It's crazy. But everyone's got their favourites. And I always think it's fun to see if my favourites are the same as someone else's favourites, because we all look at things in a different way. I know Johannes and I normally look at things from a real musical perspective. We look at like the songwriting and the composition and the vocals and everything, but I know not everybody looks at things that way. So I'd be really keen to hear your top 5 and see how it compares to my top 5 if you're game.
ooh,
Not like we
yeah,
have like pages of notes prepared or anything like that.
no.
So Tom, what is your 5th place in this year's Mello?
Okay, and this is where you cut out this bit.
I
Let me
will.
get my notes up. Oh, let me just check. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Is that definitely giving me my 5th place?
Yeah, I actually really struggled with 4 and 5. My
Yeah.
top 3 for me was really obvious, and the order for it as well, based on the criteria that I gave myself. But 4th and 5th, I found really difficult both to order and to pick.
So my 5th place is Tone Sigilius. Sorry if that's wrong. With Rhythm of My Show. I think this might just be a bias on my part because I'm a queer person and I'm just obsessed. I love it. I think I kind of hate the lyrics rhythm of my show. It just cringes me out a bit. But I think they're serving on the stage and it's really fun and I like the choreo and they really like bring their whole self to the performance. Like it's quite predictable, I guess, in a way. But I was having the best time. I was just like the entire time,
Yeah.
like just screaming for them. And it just brought me a lot of joy. I really enjoyed the song. I haven't put it on my Spotify playlist though.
Ooh, controversial. No,
Yeah.
Torna was in the running for my 5th place as well, because I love her. And she opened the entirety of Mello. Like, she was the first act of Heat 1. But I think that may be to her detriment. Because I think there's been so many good acts since then of a similar level that I think people will have just forgotten about her. But what I really liked is that last year she did a bit of a cheesy self-empowerment song, which was amazing. It had like costume reveals and key changes and stuff like that. But this year she really brought it. As you say, complete serve, the choreo, the anti-drop, like all of it just ticked all of the classic Eurovision boxes. It was giving me Fuego, which is ironic because it was co-written by Anders Vretov, who also co-wrote Fuego. So there you go, a little bit of Mellow fun facts for you. But no, she is incredible, and I think she's a big personality here as well. She's going to be on our version of Dancing with the Stars and all sorts. So she's done really, really well. But she didn't actually make my 5th place for the reason that you said. It's a bit like generic. So my 5th place is another one that could be deemed as generic, but I have my reasons. My 5th place is actually Kiana. And the reason that I love Kiana, and my viewers will know that every time I see her, my jaw just drops, because she's 16. She literally turned 16 2 days before her heat. Like, she's a kid. But that voice, like, oh my God, her vocal teacher just like is exceptional. I think she's Sweden's answer to Dua Lipa. She's got the same register and the same style. I like the choreo. I love that she just throws herself into it. She nails the vocal to the point where me and Johannes actually genuinely had an argument while we were watching the semi-final separately. We were texting. He thought it was pre-recorded vocals or the backing vocals that you could hear most because it was so good. I just think she's a superstar to watch out for. She's so bubbly and likable, and I really hope that she does well. So yeah, she is my 5th, even though I think the lyrics to the song are a bit banal, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would comment on your 5th, but actually, Kiana is my 4th place.
Yay! She's so good, isn't she?
Yeah. I'm just obsessed with her. I think I didn't realize she was that young. I thought like she was young, but I didn't realize she was that young.
Nope.
But yeah, I just really loved her energy on the stage. And it was kind of like in the right position of like, you could see that she had a lot to do. And she was comfortable, but not quite comfortable, but I quite enjoyed that like vulnerability that she had of just like, you could see that she was keeping it all together and she was really giving it her everything. And you could see that, and I love that. And I think the song as well, I've had it on my Spotify since
Yay.
Sunday. I only literally just started listening to the song properly on Sunday. And I've just had it on like constantly. It's like, so yeah, I really like Kiana. And yeah, she is my 4th place.
Nice. So my 4th place is not actually the same as your 5th place. So my 4th place is where I start to venture into a bit more of a Sweden focus, and I reckon this song might not even be like, it's probably going to be one of the ones that you're like, oh, this is so cheesy. So my 4th place is Jon Henrik Fjällgren featuring Ark North and Adam Woods. And the reason that I love it is because it's like, I think Jon Henrik as an artist is such an amazing representation of Sweden. He was actually adopted from Colombia as a baby and then raised in a Sami village up in the north. So he brings the Sami style of singing, the yoiking, in to modern songs, and before he's done something a bit more cheesy, but I love seeing it done in more of a modern style with the EDM, and it's like a really polished EDM song. If it had just been Ark North and Adam Woods, then I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much, but Jon Henrik really brings this like sense of authenticity, and the performance is really fun, and the story behind the song about his daughter being called Savajan, and it's about his daughter and his bond with his daughter. I just really love that, and he makes me so happy. So yeah, he's my number 4.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this is where I think we're really gonna go off the rails and like super far apart from each other. But that's the joy of it.
Well, actually, we're not, because that's my third place.
Yes! Look at us go!
Like, I don't want to make comparisons, but it really reminded me of Kino. I really like Kino, one of like my most like favorite artists of like of all time in like recent Eurovision history. Just like in the way that they can combine like so many different elements of tradition of like dance music and pop music and make it work. Like, there's not really many people that can do that. And I just, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my god, I've got my yoiking fix.
Yes.
And I was as soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, yes, yes. So yeah, kind of at exactly the same things as you said, really. As soon as I heard it, I was like screaming. Yes.
Yes.
I love it.
So my third place is definitely going to be controversial. My third place is Loreen. She's only my third. And I tell you for why. My criteria is, I boiled it down to, will I listen to this after Mello? And the answer is yes, but not as much as my top 2. Because it's amazing. It's going to win. And it's probably, even from what we've heard so far, probably going to win Eurovision. It's classic Loreen. It is incredible staging, beautiful costume, on another level professional. Like the way she carried on after there was a stage invader. She didn't want to stop. Like you could hear that little whimper and then they cut off the audio for the television and stuff. Like she was just going to keep going. Like she is a total professional and I love her, but the song is just like a little bit more generic than my top 2. Which is something completely left field. Maybe that's where we'll go our separate ways. But my top 2 I will continue to listen to for a long time after this year's Mello is over. Loreen, it's not on euphoria levels for me, so I can only put it third, even though it's amazing.
Cool.
Oh, is your number 2 Loreen?
Yes. For exactly the same reasons as you, to be honest. Like, I think the only reason why this song will win and might win Eurovision if it goes is because of the stage and just her in general. Like she can bring everything to that performance. Like she is just, like you said, just the utmost professional in like a musical performer. In just, I don't know. Like every time I watch her performance, I'm like, how is she real? Like, like she is incredible. And just in every way, like with the stage, with the way that she moves, the way that she interacts with the camera, like her vocal ability whilst doing all of that at the same time. She is incredible. But when I listen to it on Spotify, it is on my Spotify, I tend to skip it because I get a bit bored.
Yeah.
Unless I'm like imagining the stage in my head whilst I'm listening to it, I kind of don't really. It's when it gets to like the bridge at the end, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with this.
Yeah. They're the vibes that we had. It peaks really early, and then it comes back down, and I think it benefits from that. I would say this is a prediction video, but like we already know what's going to happen, so we can just enjoy the other songs. There's actually a lot of things in the Swedish tabloids about like what's even the point of the semi-final anymore if it's so clear there's going to be a winner, and it's been so long since the song from the semi-final actually won. Like, what's the point? So my number 2 is going to be one I guarantee you that you'll be like, what the hell, Becky, how are we even friends? And there is a very big reason for why I love this, and it's because it reminds me of my childhood, listening to folk-inspired pop songs. My number 2 is Nordman.
I knew you would like this.
Yes, and you hate it.
I don't mind it.
It's not your number 1, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I love this song. Nordman were very big in the 90s, and they're having a bit of a resurgence, which I love just generally because as a child of the 90s, I just haven't grown up since then. But as a kid, I used to listen to a lot of The Cause and a lot of like folk pop music. I have an Irish background, so we listened to a lot of Irish music growing up. And it just, with the nyckelharpa, which is the national instrument of Sweden, it could have been really old-fashioned and cheesy, but because they worked with Jimmy Jansson and Thomas Gesson to write the song and the music and the production, it really feels like modern, and it's fun, and people love them, and I love them, and they've brought me along for the ride, and I love the message of the song, I love the hook, I love the simplicity, I love it all. So that's my number 2. Yeah, so I think I know what you're going to say. And I'm interested to know if I'm right or not. But Tom, what is your number 1?
Okay, so my number 1 is 6 Feet Under by Smash Into Pieces.
What? I did not think you would say that. And can I just say, that's also my number 1. What the heck?
No way.
We could have very easily had the same top 5. But if I didn't love Nordman so much, I thought you were going to say Marcus and Martinus.
No, they were like dropping in and out of my top 5 so many times.
Yeah, it's good. But
them.
Okay, tell me why you love it, and then I'll tell you why I love it.
It really reminded me of like when I was at school listening to like Linkin Park, and like sitting in the classroom like on my own, not talking to anyone. Like it just really threw me back those times. And then it like reminded me of like the first time I heard, was it Dark Channel?
Blind Channel.
Blind Channel. Blind Channel. Oh, no, it was Dark Side, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just have it on repeat all the time. Like I am obsessed with it. I can't stop listening.
Oh my gosh, yes. I same reasons. I'm an elder emo. I was like, I saw My Chemical Romance before the Black Parade. I'm that level of elder emo. It's the kind of music I listen to anyway. I love his voice. As you say, it's a mix of Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, rest in peace, and M. Shadows, the lead singer of Avenged Sevenfold. He's got that tone. But what I enjoy is that the band, they have a gimmick with APOC, the drummer with the mask. But what I really like is that they worked again with some classic Mello songwriters. They worked with Jimmy Turnfelt, Joy Deb and Linnea Deb, and some other people. So the hook is more mellow appropriate, but the song is really true to who they are. So it's my favorite. It's the one that I will continue listening to for years and years and years. And I'm just really happy that, like, after years of Lilla Sister, like, fighting to get through semi-final and not really been taken seriously, that we have some real nice rock metal representation at Mello as a metalhead myself. So
yes.
Oh my gosh, look at us. I thought we were going to be so different. We ended up being almost entirely the same. And actually, to be fair, I think the fact that you love Smash Into Pieces, I love Smash Into Pieces, it's reflected in how the voting's been. Because you know how we do it by age group. They went through with Lorien, and it was the last heat, so it was like the heat of death, where there was only one song that could be described as a not so good song that was definitely going out, and then everything else stood a chance. And they went straight through. They beat out Nordman and they beat out Mariette. And they went straight through, and they got the 12 points from a lot of age groups. So it was really reflected that they speak across generations. And I think they'll do pretty well on Saturday. But obviously this is Lorien's to lose.
Do you have an honourable mention besides your top 5?
I mean, I like a lot of them. I can tell you who Johannes's top 5 are as well, just to shout him out, because he did make me guess this yesterday. In no particular order, his favourites from the final are Paul Ray, Kiana, Marcus Martinus, Lorien, and Nordman.
Oh, Paul Ray, interesting.
Shout out to Paul Ray. He's been in Mello, this is his 3rd time, and it's the first time he's gone just straight through to the finals. And again, it was a tough heat. The 3rd and 4th heats were really, really tough, and he went straight through, and I'm really happy for him. He deserves it. He's a really, really nice guy.
I remember him when we were watching Mello together in lockdown that time.
Yes.
The thing is about this song is that I got like a minute into the lyrics and I had to turn it off.
Honourable mention. Do I have an honourable mention? I like almost all of the finalists. I would say that there are 2 that I'm just like, this is too banal. Do you have an honourable mention? You clearly do if you asked me.
Well, my honourable good mention would be Marcus and Martinez.
Yeah, it's a bop.
I just love them too. I think they're great. And yeah, the choreo makes me laugh. I don't know why.
It's like, weird.
It's weird, but I like it. And the song is a bop, and I have been listening to it a lot. And I do have one, I would say my least favourite.
Ooh. Okay.
I would say Never Give Up by Maria Sir.
Interesting.
And also I realise it's quite high up in the odds, and I have no idea why. It was probably one of the most boring songs I've heard in the Eurovision season so far this year. Like
Yeah.
it's that kind of mellow ballad that you said that was dead,
Yeah.
and like it's sprung to life. And now I think she might have a sub story, which will make me feel bad.
First of all, I started by saying I agree. Maria Sur is my joint least favourite for the reasons you've mentioned. It is so generic. Normally, I'm a big fan of what Anders Fretov does. I know I've mentioned him a few times. We've actually stayed at his hotel. We've met him. He's made me breakfast. He's cleaned up my dirty dishes after me. He's such a nice guy. He's really talented, and he's written a lot of big mellow songs, like I've mentioned. He missed the ball on this one. It's too generic. And he wrote it with Laurel, who also competed in Heat 3. The reason that it's so high in the odds is because Maria Sur is from Ukraine. She's a Ukrainian refugee. And she came here last year, and she already was a big name in Ukraine. She competed on all the big singing talent shows. So she already had like record deals, things like that, the support. So that's why the song is what it is. It's because of her heritage. And yeah, that's why it's high in the odds, because she's from Ukraine, and the story of the song is 100% legit. So yeah, but it is my joint least favourite. My other least favourite is, as I've alluded to, it's Mariette. So this is where Johannes and I have been very vocal in our feelings about Mariette being in the final, given that she has knocked out, we would argue, 2 songs that were objectively better in the heat. She knocked out Axel Schuström, with his song Gorgeous. And then in the semi-final, she knocked out arguably our favourite, Tennessee Tears. Arguably our favourite song from the whole competition, actually. I just didn't include them in my top 5 because they're not in the final. They would have been at least number 2, maybe number 1. We were very, very distraught about that. I wondered what you think, because we have the background on Mariette. We know who she is. We know who Axel is. We don't know much about Tennessee Tears. They're kind of new to the scene. But there's reasons for it. And I having heard the songs, just based on that, like, I wonder what your opinion was.
So yeah, I listened to Mariette's song one day, and it kind of annoyed me. It was really like, it was like one of those songs. It was kind of like Love, Love, Peace, Peace on like steroids times 1000, you know? Like, it's not a message we need right now. And I think like vocally it was fine. It's just, it didn't bring anything for me. It kind of seemed like, if I didn't know that this was in the final, I just would have thought it was a Mello reject from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or like a song that was in like the Maltese national selection, which has like 31 songs in it, and like 25 of them are really bad, and you get like 5 good ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand why it got through compared to Tennessee Tears. I loved. I thought, because we haven't had anything like that in Eurovision for. I think the closest thing I can think of is the Netherlands. They sent something.
Yes. And then Estonia last year, they sent a slightly cowboy inspired one as well. But this is pure country pop.
Yeah. And it reminded me a little bit of like, I know like Avicii didn't invent country inspired music in Sweden, but I don't know, did he? I don't know, maybe he did.
Yeah, we take a lot of inspiration from Avicii.
Yeah. It threw me back to him and his music, and I was just like bopping along to it. I really enjoyed it. So I feel like that is 100% worthy winner of taking her place. Axel's song, not so much. Again, I think there's a story behind the song and kind of how that relates to him, which I don't know much about, so I'm not going to say anything here.
That's
But I can see the message behind the song, and I really appreciate that. But I think if we're talking purely sonically, if I heard this like without seeing what it was about, it didn't really do it for me.
So, which one of those two, Mariette and Axel, do you think should have had a place in the semi-final?
I think purely because with Mariette, I didn't really get any kind of message or story from the song, and Axel does. I would send Axel because at least it's giving me that.
Yeah.
With Mariette, it gives me nothing.
Yeah, so the reasons we were not happy is kind of what you've mentioned, that Mariette's song is very much just like generic message. I didn't get the staging. It's like somebody took like over a skate park in heaven. I don't know. It's just very like very random. Our viewers know what we think of the song. The thing with Mariette is she's very popular with the older demographic. And she without wanting to speak too much for a community for which I'm not a part of, she was the first big lesbian artist. So there is a big history of her in Mello, and she usually gets through to the final, and then she usually places like 5th or 6th. So to send Mariette through is to basically send somebody through who people vote for nostalgic reasons, but they don't necessarily vote because they think it's a better song. We were annoyed about Axel. This is his first time competing as an artist, and his vocal was just perfection. Like perfection. Regardless of what you think of the message of the song, just, I think it was such a shame to send through something like Mariette when something that good went out. And then Tennessee Tears brought, as you say, something different. They're new, they're exciting, they're really fun, and they missed out by a handful of points. It would have it 1 point from a few different voting brackets would have seen them through. It was very, very close. So we were really, really disappointed to see Mariette through, and it's not gonna do super well. Thank you so much for chatting to me about this. We've also got a video that's up on your channel if it's live. When this goes live, link will be down in the description. Please go subscribe to Tom. They release the most amazing, fun Eurovision content. So moving forwards into Eurovision, definitely go subscribe to them, and you will be there, won't you? You just got your tickets?
Yes, I have a preview of semi-final 2, and I'm seeing the family show on Saturday.
Yes. So you will be my feet on the ground.
Yes.
We haven't decided what we're doing for Eurovision yet. We'll be staying in Sweden. We'll figure it out and we'll let you know close to the time. But I think to finish it off, normally we would do a prediction, but given that we don't need to do a prediction, what I will say is, who are you most looking forward to seeing on Saturday? One act.
I think I'm most looking forward to seeing Kiana the most, because I feel like it'll be like a proud dad kind of moment. Like I really want her to do well, just because I think she's amazing. Yeah, I think in terms of Kiana, I'm just looking forward to seeing how she's going to progress up until the final. I think she's been on such a big journey so far, being so young in her career as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing like the final product.
Yeah, like she's one of those artists that benefits from going to the semi-final because she has another chance to perform. Like Cassiopeia last year, she every time just brought it more and more and more. So I totally agree. I think I'm most looking forward to seeing a lot of acts, but I'm going to mention one act that we haven't mentioned so far, just so we've talked about everybody. Paniatos, On My Way. I think that's such a fun party song. It went straight through to the final, and it was Heat 3, so it kind of got lost a little bit when we're talking about Loreen and all the other songs. It brings something different. It brings the party, a bit like Medina did last year, and that one did so well. Represents an important part of Sweden as well. So yeah, I think it'd be exciting to see that one again, and especially where it is in the running order. I think it's going to stand out and pop a little bit more. I'm just excited to see how the voting goes, because I think it's really competitive this year for sure.
I was looking forward to seeing
who's going to be second and third. Yeah, it could go so many different ways. That's the real competition. So what Johannes said to me the other day was, it would be really fun if Loreen wasn't there, because we'd have a real competition on our hands. But
oh yeah, for sure.
But no complaints if it means that we win. So I guess all that's left to say is news stop me.
Oh, at the same time?
News
Bye.
stop me. Oh my god, we're so cringe. I love it.
Oh dear.